Shit's different in this bitch. Fuck it. I ride. Got the top let down. Lean into the right with the bass up loud. I slide. Choking on that lead.
2 miles per hour, so everybody sees.
Ride. Got the top let down. Lean into the right with the bass up loud. I slide. Choking on that lead.
2 miles per hour, so everybody sees.
You see the European grills, so the lips list. Tank full of Theraflu, cause I be in them shit. Brick slip, roll with me, catch a contact. High definition poppin', flipping out the armrest. See, I'm a rider, dipping in the catalog. Just got it fitted on some shit I need a ladder for. Come up in your hood stunning when I leave, dude.
2 miles per hour, so everybody sees.
I can't deny, I feel I'm such a fly guy. Top chop, call him Sleepy Hollow when they ride by. I know them haters can't stand. I ain't got a blemish on my Jolly Rancher can. Ride on, ride. Top let down. We been through the crowd with the bass up loud. Just slide. On the slab when I creep. Take a bath or you put your ass on them seats. Ride. Got the top let down. Lean into the right with the bass up loud. I slide. Choking on that leader.
2 miles per hour, so everybody sees.
Ride. Got the top let down. Lean into the right with the bass up loud. I slide. Choking on that leader.
2 miles
What
per
it
hour,
do? What it
everybody
do?
sees.
I hope you got big lungs if
You
you're
rolled
rolling
in
with
to
me.
another
I roll
episode of
quick,
Everything
roll
Boxing.
Plus I'm rolling sticky.
talking that
Hit the
boxing
road
again.
with me. Only push it to the 50. Cruising through your city. Super sharp. Fresh
Hold
fit.
on,
Hey,
hold on,
too
hold
cold
on.
with it. Check out
the
that
music turned
interior.
down in the
It's
background.
hateria. Chalkboard material. Get it? Then fuck it. Hey, roll another blunt up. Hit patchwork. Go and fuck with me.
What's happening with it? Let's see who we got in the building. Y'all already know you tuned in to another episode of Everything Boxing. There you go, talking that boxing again. Light skin business. What's happening with it? Al Booger in the building. Mike Ryan, Royalty Fours, Big Block, Anthony Johnson. Oh yeah, we gonna cook today. We definitely go cook today. Aiden in the building. What's happening with it? So yeah, we definitely gonna cook today. It's a lot been going on in boxing. I ain't been on here in a minute, so you know it's going down. So when you come in the building, make sure that you smash on the like button. Smash on the like button. Jump in the comments. Let me know you in the building. And let's cook. Let's cook. Let me see. Nate's Boxing Nation, what's happening with it? Like I said, when y'all come in the building, jump in the comments. Let me know you in the building. Sheena, what's going on with it, Queen? I was gonna say I ain't seen you in a minute, but I ain't been on here in a minute. Yeah. So let me know if my audio is okay. Is my audio working all right? Nate's Boxing Nation, I appreciate you, fam. Appreciate you. Okay, audio good. Okay. Hey, JB, you know we gonna get on his helmet today. It's crazy. I told everybody what Canelo was gonna do. See, he thought that he was gonna be able to go to PBC and just run things, right? He thought he was gonna be able to go there at PBC and fight who he want and duck and cherry pick. They were like, nah, we ain't doing that no more. Hell nah, we ain't doing that no more. Boots versus Bud, that ain't happening. Bud don't want that smoke, but a lot of people gonna get mad, but that's just what it is. He don't want that smoke. And the thing about Boots, right? The thing why Bud don't want to fight Boots and people just don't want to admit it is because when it comes to Boots, it's that area to where you don't really know how good he is. Bud ain't willing to take that chance. right? Remember, Bud was the ultra competitive. I can't nobody beat me at nothing. I'm so competitive. But when Boots came on the scene, all that shit disappeared because Boots is young, strong, fast, got all the talent in the world, can do everything that Bud Crawford can do, and he's younger. So he can do it, you know, at a better pace on a better level. And so when it comes to Boots, they don't know how good he is because he still ain't been in a fight to where you see any flaws, right? He ain't had that Sean Porter fight to give him to where you can say, okay, this is where he's vulnerable at. He ain't had that type of fight. So they're not willing to take that chance until they see him have that type of fight. Go back to Triple G, right? Remember when Triple G was indestructible. Remember, didn't nobody want to fight Triple G for a long time? Andre Ward wanted to fight him, but that's a whole different story. But remember, Canelo didn't want to fight him. Danny Jacobs didn't want to fight him. Kid Chocolate didn't want to fight him. Like, they was talking crazy when it came to Triple G. I remember before Danny Jacobs took that fight, probably like a year or two before he finally took the Triple G fight, he was saying shit like, nah, I'm good on that fight. They're going to have to pay me a lifetime career payday. Kid Chocolate was like, no, I'm not fighting no Triple G, flat out. Cotto was like, I'm not fighting him. Didn't nobody want to fight him, right? Until remember what happened when everybody started stepping up to fight Triple G. When Kell Brook came up in weight and finally decided and said, yeah, I'll fight him. And Kell Brook exposed some things in Triple G, where when Kell Brook fought him, Kell Brook was touching him up until Kell Brook got his eye socket broke. But before that, Kell Brook was touching up Triple G. And in that fight, people felt like Triple G displayed some things where he looked vulnerable. That's when the other opponents start stepping up and they was like, yeah, okay, we'll fight Triple G now. Then Danny Jacobs, he came and he was like, okay, I'll fight Triple G. Danny Jacobs fought Triple G. And when Danny Jacobs fought him, that fight was close. He really exposed that Triple G wasn't a monster that everybody said he was. And then after Danny Jacobs fought him and exposed that he wasn't no monster, that's when Canelo Alvarez came, and then it went on from there, right? So this is the same effect right now that you have it with Jaron Ennis. This is why Terence Crawford don't want to step in the ring with Boots, because ain't nobody stepped in there and been able to make him look vulnerable in no type of way. He been destroying every opponent that he get in the ring with easy. So Bud is like, okay, yeah, I ain't willing to take that chance. I guarantee you that if we had seen somebody put hands on Boots and give him a tough fight, I guarantee you that Bud would take that fight then, because now you know that he's beatable. Now you've seen where he's vulnerable at. But ain't nobody got in the ring and showed these other fighters on that upper echelon where he's vulnerable at. So Bud, he like, I'm not the one that's going to step in there and take a chance with him because we don't know how good he is. We don't know if he's that good to where ain't nobody going to beat him right now, or it's just his opponents. You know what I'm saying? It's that area with Boots to where don't nobody on the level of Bud want to take a chance with him because they don't know how good he is right now. And that's just what that is. Sweet Tea, what's going on with it, Queen? Salute. Let me see. In Derby and Chico, but yeah, J Bean, when Derby and Chico exposed Triple G he was already old. He already had fought Canelo. You know what I'm saying? He already had fought Danny Jacobs. He already had fought Kell Brook. So like he was getting older. Just like the second fight with Canelo. You know, the second Triple G fight with Canelo was easier for Canelo because Canelo had fought him once already. He kind of knew what to study, and he knew that Triple G was beatable. You know what I'm saying? Like the first fight, Canelo was kind of still like, you know, kind of gun shy. He didn't really want to pull the trigger like that. He was kind of still scared a little bit. But then after the first fight, he was like, oh yeah, I could beat this dude for sure. And he took that rematch immediately because he knew he could beat Triple G. Victor Garcia says, King Nello really King get Ring Killy really King getting out of contracts and still getting paid penalties for contract bridges. We definitely gonna get into that Canelo stuff. Like, man, y'all need to stop with the dumbass comments. Victor Garcia already up in here talking about David is irrelevant. He's trying to fight. Man, whatever. We're going to get into that. We're going to definitely get into that. But let's see who else we got in the building. Yeah, Nate, because they don't know. They don't know what type of risk they really taking when they fighting Boots. Like, you could talk all of that shit, right? When you Terence Bud Crawford and his team, like, oh, man, they got a million excuses not to fight Boots. I ain't never heard Bud Crawford and his team make this many excuses when it comes to nobody. And that's what it is. They just don't know how good Boots is, and they not willing to chance it. Y'all got to understand, the pedestal that Bud Crawford is on right now for beating one opponent. When it ain't like he just went through a whole gauntlet of fighters at 147 like Spence did. He really beat one fighter and got elevated to King Joffrey Joe from beating one fighter. And that one fighter that he beat was not in his prime. But, you know, we still got to give him credit because he did it. But are we giving Terence Crawford too much of credit? Because Bud didn't even beat David I've been sneezing like he did Errol Spence. And people tend to forget that Sean Porter, an older Sean Porter, right? Because Sean Porter, I'm calling him old, but he like the same age as Bud. But I'm saying Sean Porter that was no longer in his prime, that told you he was no longer in his prime. That Sean Porter gave Bud a tooth and nails fight up into the stoppage. Like, are we forgetting that Sean Porter, just 2 fights before he fought Errol Spence, but before Bud fought Spence, Bud had a tooth and nails fight with Sean Porter. And then he go do what he did to Spence, and we say that people acting like he one of the best fighters that ever lived. But this is the same man that just had a very tough fight against Sean Porter in Sean Porter's last fight. So, I mean, you got to give Bud credit. You got to say that he is a special fighter. But I think at some point, it's like we got to ask ourselves, are we giving him too much credit? Are we giving him too much credit? It's just crazy, you know? And then off of this one fight, you got a whole fan base saying that he doesn't need to do anything else. He doesn't need to fight Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis is beneath him and all it. Like, bro, he didn't have to fight nobody at 147. Like them, everybody that Bud Crawford fought on his resume. And I'm not going to include Errol Spence in this, right? But I think Jaron Boots Ennis would have beat the shit out of Errol Spence on that night also. Let's just keep it a buck. But everybody that Bud fought on his resume before he fought Errol Spence, I think that Boots would destroy him. Boots would walk through every opponent that Bud had on his resume. Sean Porter even told you. Sean Porter kept it real. That's why I respect Porter. He said, I'm not fighting Boots. I'm not fighting that young, hungry killer. That dude is a killer. I'm not getting in the ring with his young ass. Sean Porter kept it real and said the shit. So, yeah. Shit crazy. Picasso, what's happening with it? Salute. Aiden said, he said tooth and nail. Yeah, man. Up until the stoppage with Sean Porter, he went tooth and nails with Sean Porter. That shit was a razor close fight. A lot of people thought Sean Porter was winning up until the first knockdown. I thought that Sean Porter was winning that fight up until Bud got that first knockdown. Victor Garcia, don't come in here with that Benavidez versus Morrell shit and try to move in. See, this is what's wrong with y'all, right? I know that you a young boxing fan. I know that you a Canelo fanboy because first of all, you're trying to put Canelo with David Morrell, and you're trying to talk about Canelo need to move up to 175, right? But you're saying everything but Canelo needs to fight his mandatory, somebody that's been his mandatory on 3 separate occasions. You're not a real boxing fan. See, you're a Canelo fan that doesn't want to see Canelo lose because it's going to break your little heart. If Canelo loses, it's going to break your little heart. It's going to crush you. So what you start doing is you go to deflecting and try to get around the fact and try to talk about Canelo fight everybody and try to talk about David Benavidez fight everybody but Canelo Alvarez. That's it, that's all. But we're going to get into that a little bit later in this video. And the real Mexican boxing fans, they're not going to respect Canelo. That's why they don't respect Canelo with the all-time greats, Mexican fighters. That's why they don't respect Canelo with the all-time great Mexican fighters. They don't. Because y'all Mexican fighters, that Mexican style, that's supposed to be, we'll fight anybody. We don't duck nobody. That's why Oscar De La Hoya weird ass be getting on Canelo. Because Oscar, like, y'all didn't even respect me as a real Mexican, but I came out here every fight and I fought the best. Oscar said Canelo ain't willing to do that. He's never been willing to do that. If we go down Canelo Alvarez's resume, I guarantee you, if you want to click that link, Victor, I'll teach you something. I guarantee you, if we go down this resume, I'll teach you something. Because I already know you're a young boxing fan. I know that you're young. I know that you're just a Canelo fanboy from the way that you're speaking on here. A real boxing fan wouldn't come in here and try to put Benavidez with everybody else but Canelo. So we're going to definitely get into it. We definitely going to get into it. And yeah, Benavidez is moving up to 175 is because Canelo let it be known clear that he was never going to fight Benavidez. So he forced him to move up to 175. But we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, let's talk about Edgar Berlanga. That's, because that's who Canelo's going to fight in September. Yeah, he's going to fight Edgar Berlanga. He going to fight Jaime Munguia in May and Edgar Berlanga in September. So let's talk about Edgar Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga, he went in there and fought a C-level opponent this past weekend, a guy from Ireland that none of y'all know. Y'all don't know nobody on this resume that the dude beat. And Edgar Berlanga went in there and fought him, and he looked all right. Yeah, he got the stoppage, but did Edgar Berlanga look just spectacular like y'all trying to make it seem like he looked? Nah, he looked all right. Berlanga looked all right. He didn't impress me. He looked like the same Edgar Berlanga. He just was placed in the ring with somebody that he was supposed to get the knockout stoppage, right? And this time he finally did it. Y'all got to understand, Berlanga hadn't had a knockout since the early days, since like the 16 knockouts in a row that he had way back years ago on Top Rank. Berlanga hadn't had a knockout in years. So what they did is they put Berlanga in the ring with an opponent that he was supposed to knock out so they could do exactly what you seen them do this past Saturday. The whole time, they hyping up Canelo and Berlanga. if Berlanga looks good, it's gonna show us that he's ready for Canelo. Against who? Who is this dude? He's ready for Canelo because he's in the ring with a C- level fighter. Like, are y'all serious? Like, Dazn and those commentators over there on Dazn, like, they're a joke. They are a joke. Straight up and down. Like, they are a joke. They're trying to hype. Edgar Berlanga ain't beat nobody. He looked like shit in every one of his fights ever since he moved from the little, prospect level. Ever since they moved Edgar Berlanga up and notched his opponent level up just a little bit, he started looking like shit. And Edgar Berlanga, he's not a trash fighter, but Berlanga he ain't that good. You know what I'm saying? He's not a bum, but he's not that good. I would say that Edgar Berlanga is, I don't know. Berlanga, can Edgar Berlanga beat Sergey Derevyanchenko? Probably not. Like, can Edgar Berlanga even beat Jaime Munguia? Probably not. But we already know the setup for Canelo, his next two fights. It's going to be Munguia, right? Somebody that can beat Berlanga, and then it's going to be Berlanga. But Edgar Berlanga we ain't going to call him a bum. Mr. Holmes, we ain't going to call him a bum. But he's not an A-level fighter. He's not a B-level fighter. To me, he's like a good C+, B- level fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of cats. It's a bunch of cats at 168 that can beat Edgar Berlanga. But why are they putting him in the conversation with Canelo? Because they're starting to build that fight up, because Eddie Hearn in Matchroom, they already knew that Canelo was going to come back to the zone because PBC wasn't paying to continue with the ducking bullshit. And we're going to get into that later. But y'all hit my like button. Y'all smash my like button. Smash on the like button, y'all. Show some love. Smash on the like button. Adam Hurley says Canelo ducking Benavidez is the most obvious duck in history. Canelo fans need to accept it. They don't want to accept it. It's not that they don't want to accept it or refusing to accept it. Is that they don't want it to happen. They don't want to see Canelo take another loss. They want the same thing for Canelo that Canelo wants for his own career. To stay with those 2 L's on his record, to not get another loss. And that's what Canelo Alvarez is making sure that he does. Ronaldo Jimenez says, how do I differentiate, how do you say that shit? I can't even see. Differentiate between B-level and C-level boxer. I couldn't even get that word out. Differentiate. Yeah, that's how you say it. How do I do it? It's because, shit. I'm not going to say he'll B-level, because when you talk about B-level fighters, you talk about fighters like Sean Porter. Sean Porter's a B-level fighter, right? Danny Garcia. I would say that Danny Garcia was a B-level fighter. Then you got fighters like A-level fighters. Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson. Those are A-level fighters. B-level fighters are the Sean Porters, the Danny Garcias, Amir Khan in his prime. Fighters like that, right? And then you go to C-level fighters. C-level fighters are fighters like the type of fighters that Edgar Berlanga been facing that he barely get past. Those type of fighters like a Steven Rose and yeah. Yeah, Edgar, like I said, Edgar Berlanga is like a B- C+ level. Hey, a lot of y'all call him a bum. He like a C plus level for sure. He said Delonio Fam Sports said he a future gatekeeper. Yeah. Unless he's still only 26, so he can get better. With Berlanga, it's just does he have the discipline to actually put into work to get better? But is he anywhere, shape, or form on the level of a Canelo? No, because Berlanga can't even beat Jaime Munguia. I guarantee anybody that Berlanga couldn't beat Jaime Munguia. That's the fight that needs to be happening instead of Canelo. Canelo needs to be fighting David Benavidez, and Jaime Munguia and Edgar Berlanga need to be fighting. And then the winner of that fight needs to fight the winner of Canelo and David Benavidez. But we obviously know that Canelo can't beat David Benavidez, and he's not even going to try to because he don't think he can beat it. G Money 915 says PBC didn't have the money to pay Canelo, and Benavidez didn't want to fight Canelo without Canelo money. You sound like a complete idiot, but okay. Because, if you listen to shit that Rick Glazier be telling you, yeah, you got to be an idiot to listen to that shit. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. Roger A says Frank Martin, a 30-year-old prospect. We're going to talk about the Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis fight. We definitely, I wouldn't call Frank Martin no prospect. Frank Martin is definitely a contender. I wouldn't call him no prospect. J7 says they were so quick to tell the 168 PBC fighters to fight each other, but nothing when it's Munguia and Edgar. Right. Yeah, they don't want to put their fighters against each other because what they're doing is they know Canelo, man. Eddie Hearn knows Canelo. So he always knew that Canelo wouldn't go fight Benavidez. So Eddie Hearn was just waiting for Canelo to go back over there to the to Matchroom. That's all that was. Jay Hizzy, what's happening with it? Salute. But yeah, Edgar Berlanga, like I said, he didn't impress me this weekend. He still got a whole lot of shit he needs to work on. His defense is hella leaky still. And he, like I said, to me, he looks like a solidified C plus B minus level fighter. But that's just right up Canelo Alvarez's alley. That's exactly what Canelo Alvarez wants. And I'm going to tell y'all once again how it's going to go for Canelo. In May, he's going to fight Munguia. And Canelo Alvarez and Munguia, it's already being reported. It's already being reported that he's going back to Dazn to fight Munguia first. And I'm telling you, the reason they was hyping up that Berlanga and making it seem like the Edgar Berlanga, he did some spectacular shit on Saturday and really beat a viable opponent. The only reason they was doing that is because they're building the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga once Canelo beat the shit out of Jaime Munguia. That's the next two fights for Canelo. It's crazy. J7 says, imagine Munguia upsetting Canelo. That would be crazy, but it ain't happening. Because Canelo and his team, they're very strategic. They're hella strategic. They're going to scout opponents, and they're going to pick and choose who they can beat. And they see all of the vulnerabilities in Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia has no defense. He don't have no defense at all. Jaime Munguia is a walking punching bag, And Jaime Munguia, the opponent level he been in the ring with is trash also. So the way that the style that Jaime Munguia has, Canelo's gonna walk through him and knock him out. Canelo's gonna stop Jaime Munguia. Then he gonna go on and he gonna stop Edgar Berlanga. And then all the Canelo fans is gonna pretend like he never ducked David Benavidez, and they gonna call him the best thing in the world, and they gonna be putting him up there telling everybody that he's the greatest Mexican fighter to ever step in the ring, which this is why fighters like Julio Cesar Chavez and fighters like Juan Marquez, that's why Marquez don't respect him, because they know what Canelo's doing. They didn't move like that. You know what I'm saying? The real Mexican fighters, they didn't move like that. Picking and choosing and scared to fight certain opponents. You know what I'm saying? Man, before I go on to the next subject, okay, hold on, Victor, don't block nobody. Okay, don't block nobody. Nobody block nobody. I'm gonna drop this link real quick in the chat. If anybody want to come up here real quick, right? If any of y'all think that Canelo Alvarez is not a duck and you want to defend him, I'm gonna give you a chance to come up here and try to defend him real quick. There's a link. Don't nobody touch the link unless you want to come up here and debate this Canelo Alvarez being the biggest duck in boxing shit. So, Victor Garcia, you've been defending Canelo the whole time. Come up here and defend him. I'm giving you your chance. You ain't got to type no more. You don't have to type no more. It's right there. The link is right there in the chat. I'm going to give you a chance to defend him, and then we're going to move on with the show. So since you typing, you come up here. You come up here and defend your favorite fighter. Exactly. He said he don't do free interviews. That's cool. You ain't gonna do typing in my chat no more neither. I'm gonna time you. I ain't gonna block you, but I'm gonna time you out. There ain't nothing else to talk about. I bet you don't. He ain't want to come up here and get his ass. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to come up here and I was gonna make him look real bad. I was gonna make him look real bad today. Shit was gonna get ugly like Seal and Precious had a baby. So let's move on, right? Let's move on. We're gonna still talk about the Canelo situation, right? So Canelo Alvarez, we found out today that the PBC chunked the deuce to him. See, the headlines that they're trying to put out is Canelo left PBC. Nah, Canelo didn't leave PBC because Canelo was under contract with PBC. PBC, they brought Canelo Alvarez over there to make the biggest fights. They brought him over there to fight Jamal Charlo, but Jamal Charlo was fucked up. Right? So with Jamal Charlo being in the situation that he was in, Canelo, they said, we'll give you a cherry pick, right? We'll let you fight Jermell Charlo. We'll have Jermell Charlo come up 2 weight divisions. We'll have Jermell Charlo come off of a 16-month layoff in a hand surgery. See, y'all got on Jermell Charlo for going in there and looking like he did. But why weren't y'all talking about that Jermell Charlo came up 2 weight divisions? Jermell Charlo was out of boxing for 16 months. And Jermell Charlo was coming off a hand injury, a major hand surgery that he was rehabbing. Nobody talked about that. That was Canelo Alvarez's cherry pick. Then Canelo went to the PBC and was trying to get the PBC to give him a Jamal Charlo fight, but not only give him a Jamal Charlo fight, pay him $35-40 million to fight Jamal Charlo. Guaranteed money. PBC said, nah, we're not going to pay you $35-40 million guaranteed up front to fight Jamal Charlo, who was out of the sport for almost 3 years. Jamal Charlo don't have a following like he did when he was at the top of his game. People been seeing Jamal Charlo crash out. And you think that we gonna give you Jamal Charlo that's not even right in the head and pay you 30 to 40 million to fight Jamal Charlo? Nah, we got something better for you, Canelo. We'll give you more than that to fight David Benavidez. Matter of fact, they offered Canelo Alvarez $55 to $60 million to fight David Benavidez. See, this is what Canelo Alvarez's fan base, this is what they don't want to hear. This is the shit that they want to run around and pretend like it didn't happen. Now, in a recent interview, we heard Leonard Ellaby say that Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez is the biggest fight in boxing. He says, we know what those numbers are going to do. We already know what those numbers are projected to do. That is the biggest fight in boxing. So that what was going down behind the scenes. They was trying to get Canelo to fight David Benavidez, and they was willing to pay him his biggest payday that he's ever had to fight David Benavidez. They're willing to pay him whatever money he wanted to fight David Benavidez. Now, what happened is Canelo Alvarez, they tried to pump fake David Benavidez. They told David Benavidez, they tried to tell David Benavidez, the only way we'll fight you if you accept $5 million, the bare minimum. So Canelo Alvarez was going to get paid $55 to $60 million in a huge fight, but you only want to pay your opponent $5 million. So what Canelo and his team did, they expected David to turn down that offer. They're like, no way we're gonna send him an offer that he turns down, and there ain't no way he's gonna accept the offer. Well, what happened? David accepted that offer. Yeah, David said, okay, yeah, don't worry about it. I'll accept the $5 million. Because David Benavidez knows that once I beat Canelo, I don't have to worry about no paydays after that. I'm the face of boxing. This is going to be the biggest fight in boxing. I don't need to get the biggest payday of my career right now because David already been making $5 million. He already been making that. David accepted the $5 million, and what did Canelo do? Canelo disappeared. They didn't hear nothing else from Canelo. Canelo was gone. Because David called they bluff. When David Benavidez accepted that $5 million rinky-dink payday and said it's okay, Canelo can make his 55, 60 million. I'll only take $5 million. That called Canelo Alvarez's bluff, and that showed the whole world, whether you want to believe it or not, or whether you want to accept it or not, that Canelo is the biggest duck in boxing. He's probably the biggest duck in boxing history. That's what Canelo is, the biggest duck in boxing history. Straight up and down. Picasso, Caleb got over 10 million. Caleb said it. I heard Caleb play. Caleb made well over $10 million for that fight. KQKC, the OG in the building. What's happening with it? Salute. So, yeah. So he's hands down the biggest duck in boxing. He was never going to fight David Benavidez, like I continue to tell people. Canelo, right now, he didn't want to step in the ring against David Benavidez because he didn't want to risk taking the loss. Canelo knows that he has the problem fighting. This is what Canelo knows. Fighters that are very active, that are pressure fighters, that are long, he have a problem with them. He has a problem with certain style fighters. And everything that David Benavidez does is Canelo Alvarez's kryptonite. It's a horrible stylistic mismatch for Canelo when it comes to David Benavidez. But then you look at Jaime Munguia, he's willing to fight Jaime Munguia for $20 million less because that's a fight he can go in and look good against. He can look good against Jaime Munguia. Somebody like Benavidez, if you think that Canelo got beat up by Bivol, imagine what Benavidez would do to him. It's going to look way worse. That's why Bivol exposed Canelo too. Bivol said that he wanted the Canelo rematch, and he said Canelo, they was trying to negotiate, and Canelo disappeared. They didn't even hear nothing else from Canelo. He disappeared in the Bivol negotiations. But y'all let Canelo slide with that shit too. Came up with a bunch of lies from Canelo. So PBC, they let Canelo go because they was no longer going to pay Canelo career high paydays to cherry pick opponents and fight whoever he wanted to fight. They're not paying him to fight no bums, no Rudy Poots, because just like Leonard Ellaby said, he says, I'm not in the business. PBC is not in the business of losing money. It's only one promoter, Eddie Hearn, that's in the business of losing out on money. Now we see why Canelo Alvarez is going back to Matchroom. One thing about Ellaby, I don't like a lot of shit that Ellaby say. I don't like how Ellaby move a lot, right? But when it comes to Eddie Hearn in the PBC in Matchroom, he told the truth. He told the truth. He says Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn, Dazn, they're the only company that's in the business of losing money. So they're willing to pay Canelo and be in the red just to say that they have Canelo over there. He's a coward. Yeah, Jose. And real Mexican fans don't respect Canelo Alvarez. They'll never respect him because real Mexican fans, they expect their fighters to fight the best. Whoever it may be, they expect their fighters to come out and not duck no smoke. And Canelo has shown through his whole career that he's a coward. I'm gonna show y'all. Let's go down his resume. See, we could talk about who Canelo fought, but when we talk about who Canelo fought, let's talk about the circumstances behind who he fought. That's the key word. When Canelo fought, who he fought, when did he fight him, and what was the circumstances behind him fighting? Now let's go to it. Let's go to it. PLG Ski, what's happening with it? Salute, yeah. Champ Life Boxing, salute. Now Canelo didn't learn nothing from Floyd because if you really know boxing, Floyd Mayweather fought everybody. You're talking about Floyd when he was at the end of his career, when he was 38, 37, 39 years old. Canelo Alvarez is only like 32 years old. When Floyd was 32 years old, he was still fighting the best competition. So a lot of people use that like, oh, well, he learned from Floyd. No, he didn't learn shit from Floyd because Canelo really been doing this shit his whole career. Let's go down Canelo Alvarez's resume, and we're going to start. Let's start in. I'm going to start. Okay, let's start with Shane Mosley, okay? Because let's start with the biggest names he got on his resume. Let's start with Shane Mosley. Canelo Alvarez, he fought Shane Mosley, and Shane Mosley was already old and washed up. Shane Mosley was old at that point in time when Canelo fought him. Shane Mosley was damn near 40 years old when Canelo fought him, right? Then he fought Josecito Lopez. Josecito Lopez, C-level fighter. Then he fought Austin Trout. Now, when he fought Austin Trout at 154, that fight was a razor-thin fight. Razor-thin fight. Now, at the time, Austin Trout was one of the fighters on Canelo Alvarez's resume that was in his prime. You feel me? He was in his prime, but Austin Trout and Canelo, that was a razor thin fight. Some people even had Austin Trout winning. That was a very close fight. A controversial decision that Canelo Alvarez got, right? So the point I'm going to make is I'm going to show you that anybody that Canelo Alvarez fought on the same playing field that was in their prime, he either lost or had a controversial decision, or it wasn't an even playing field. Okay, after Austin Trout, after Trout, he went and fought Floyd Mayweather. We know how that went. He lost every round against Floyd Mayweather and still got a majority decision loss, right? That means that one judge said that Canelo Alvarez, one judge called that fight a draw when Mayweather won clearly every round. Then he fought Alfredo Angulo, another C-level, lower tier fighter. Knocked him out. Then he fought Lara in a fight that he lost. Now, he won that fight by split decision, meaning one fighter gave it to Lara and the other two judges gave it to Canelo. But that one fighter was the only judge that had that decision right because he lost that Lara fight. Lara landed more punches and Canelo threw more punches. Let that sink in. Canelo threw more punches than Lara, but Lara landed more punches. Now, he got a gift decision in that fight. Then he fought James Kirkland. Was James Kirkland a killer? Nah, C-level fighter. Then he fought Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto was a 147-pounder that blew up, that went to 154. Canelo fought him at 155. Yeah, that was when Canelo was making his own weight. The 155 Canelo Alvarez weight. Fought a small Miguel Cotto. Cotto wasn't only too small. Cotto was old and washed up. So he beat Miguel Cotto, another old washed up fighter. Had Amir Khan move up like 14 pounds and then fought Amir Khan and knocked him out. Another trash fight. Then he fought Liam Smith, another C-level fighter, UK domestic level fighter. Then he fought bum-ass Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., another bum fight. Then he finally stepped up and fought Gennady Golovkin, Triple G. And another split decision, controversial win. I thought that fight was a draw, right? But it was a draw. Well, they scored it a draw. I thought it was a draw. Yeah, he fought Gennady Golovkin and didn't win. It was a draw. This is King Canelo, the fighter that y'all calling the best fighter, Mexican fighter to ever step in the ring. Like I said, if we're going to talk about Canelo, let's talk about the circumstances behind Canelo Alvarez. Now, like I said, he had a draw with Triple G, finally stepped up after fight bum after bum after bum. He finally stepped up, fought Triple G, had a draw. Then he rematched Triple G, and I thought he won the fight. But at that point in time, Triple G was getting older. You know what I'm saying? But I thought he won the second Triple G fight. A lot of people thought he lost that fight, but I thought he won. He had a majority decision victory in that second Triple G fight. Then he fought Rocky Fielding at 168. Right? Went back to 168 because I believe he fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He shrunk him down to like a catch weight of 164. Right? Then he finally moved to 168, fought Rocky Fielding, and he's a bum. Half of y'all probably don't even know who the fuck Rocky Fielding is. Fought another bum. Then he fought Daniel Jacobs. Had Daniel Jacobs do an IBF rehydration clause, but they was fighting for the WBA. and the WBC strap. So they shouldn't even have to do a rehydration clause, right? Because when you got the WBC, WBA, and the IBF straps on the line, you don't have to go by the IBF rules, right? So he made Daniel Jacobs do a rehydration clause, and I thought he won that fight against Daniel Jacobs, right? So I'll give him a solid win for the Daniel Jacobs fight, even though Daniel Jacobs was killing himself with that rehydration clause, and he complained throughout the whole process about the rehydration clause that Canelo Alvarez put on him. Then Canelo fought Sergey Kovalev. Gave Sergey Kovalev 4 weeks to train after Sergey Kovalev, or 5 weeks to train, my bad. Shit, 5 weeks to fight. This fight took place like 5 weeks after Kovalev had just had a grueling fight with Anthony Yarde. We know what happened in that situation. Is that an even playing field? Hell no. Then he fought Callum Smith. When he fought Callum Smith had already announced that he was moving up to 175 because he couldn't make 168 no more. Callum Smith got the call from Canelo Alvarez's camp, had 5 weeks to train to try to make 168, damn near killed himself to make 168, and Canelo beat his ass. Is that an even playing field? Hell no. He weight drained him and only gave him 5 weeks to train. And we know what happened with Callum Smith after that. Callum Smith ain't never went back to 168 after that. Callum Smith is like 6'3", big as hell, and we knew he couldn't make the weight no more. Killing himself to make the weight. Then you fight Abner Yildirim, a straight bomb. A straight bomb. Then you fight Billy Joe Saunders, somebody that had been on drugs, somebody that had been, heavily using alcohol, somebody that looked like shit ever since he popped dirty with PEDs. You fought Billy Joe Saunders and stopped him, and Billy Joe Saunders ain't boxed since. He ain't boxed since. Another bomb. Then you fought Caleb Plant, and I'm going to give you credit for the Caleb Plant fight. But Caleb Plant only had 21 fights. Caleb Plant was out of the ring over a year when he fought Canelo. And, he still took the fight, so I'll give him credit for the Caleb Plant fight, but Caleb Plant was still very green. He was still green, only had 21 fights in his career and never had a high-profile fight, right? You beat Caleb Plant. Then after Caleb Plant, you got your ass beat by Dimitri Bivol. Wasn't even close. Then you go back and you fight a 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin in the fourth fight. Another fucking cherry pick. Gennady Golovkin was an absolute bum at that point in time, and you beat Golovkin, and you didn't even look good in that fight. Then you fought another bum in John Ryder, who had already lost to a couple fighters that you already had beat, right? Then you make Jermell Charlo move up 2 weight divisions off a hand injury in a 16-month layoff, and you beat him. Canelo Alvarez, he's not him. I just read you that man whole resume. I basically went through his whole resume, and he ain't did shit impressive on his whole resume. But we boost him up as one of the best Mexican fighters to ever step in the ring. Now, what Canelo Alvarez is, and what I just proved, is Canelo Alvarez is the best Mexican fighter to ever duck fighters, put certain clauses on fighters, and make sure that he fights on uneven playing fields. That's it. That's what he is. That's what he is. Now, you said, is Canelo Alvarez a first ballot Hall of Famer? Well, of course. Is it hard to be a first? I mean, of course he is. Of course. I say he no bum, but he ain't what y'all trying to make him out to be. Because when you go down his resume once again and you go over all of the circumstances that was involved with all those fighters. I just made it clear. If anybody thinks that they can refute anything that I just put out, all of the facts that I just gave y'all, it's a whole bunch of fucking smoke and mirrors with Canelo Alvarez's whole entire career. And I just proved that without a shadow of a doubt. So yes, Canelo's a first ballot Hall of Famer because he still beat who he beat and did what he did, you know, even though it was a lot of bullshit behind it. But is Canelo an all-time great when it comes to Mexican fighters? Hell no. That's the question that you should have asked me. Knockout, what's happening with it? I see you in the building. Bruce Gas in the building, the OG. What's happening with it? The question that you should be asking me is Canelo Alvarez an all-time great when it comes to Mexican fighters? Because a lot of people call him the all-time greatest Mexican fighter. No, he's not that at all. He's nowhere near that. Because when we talk about the all-time great Mexican fighters, it wasn't a whole bunch of smoke and screens involved in who they fought. Wasn't no cherry picking and ducking involved in their career. Whether they lost or won the fights, they still fought the best and laid it all on the line. Canelo Alvarez, in each division that he's went through, he's made sure that he didn't fight the best opponents in those divisions. And if he did have to fight the best, he made sure that it was certain stipulations that he put on them. Or if he did fight the best and it was an even playing field, he either lost or he had a draw. Straight up and down. He either lost or he had a draw. Triple G, a draw. Laura, a controversial decision that they gave him a W, but he should have lost. Floyd Mayweather lost every round. Bivol got his ass beat damn near every round. So now, right now I'm seeing now this ducking David Benavidez, it shows that Canelo has never been who y'all say he is. I'm not the only one that said it. Y'all know who else who said it? The Golden Boy, Fishnets. Oscar De La Hoya said it. That's what y'all call them, Fishnets. Hey, Oscar De La Hoya said it also. De La Hoya been told us that Canelo, he ain't like that. It's a lot of fighters that we tried to get him to fight these fighters and he didn't want to fight them behind the scenes. See, I ain't gonna lie. I thought Oscar was lying on Canelo for the longest time. I thought Oscar was just, jealous because Canelo left him. But now, all of the shit is coming to light. The truth is coming to light. Oscar wasn't lying on Canelo when he said that Canelo was the one that was really refusing to fight guys like Demetrius Andrade and Jamal Charlo and all of these fighters. Oscar wasn't lying on him. Now we see that Oscar was actually telling the truth. Right? Now we see that Oscar was actually telling the truth. So to all of the Mexican fans in here that still want to ride the fanboys, because real Mexican fans don't ride with Canelo, but the Mexican fanboys that want to defend Canelo Alvarez, was Oscar De La Hoya lying on him too? When Oscar said that he ain't no real Mexican warrior like that because he was ducking a lot of smoke over there when he was with him. But see, I thought it was Oscar that was trying to protect Canelo. But Oscar said, nah. He was trying to make those fights for Canelo, but Canelo and Eddie Reynoso didn't want that smoke. But we seen how fast Canelo tried to fight Jamal Charlo when he knew that Jamal Charlo was a shell of himself. Mac G's, you're a little kid. You're a kid. I'm talking about grown Mexican, see, you're a fan boy with the boy on the end, Mac G's. You're a boy. I'm talking about the real Mexican boxing fans, the real men. They don't respect Canelo because they see how he's moving. You a young boxing fan. You that don't know the history of Mexican fighters. And if you are defending this shit and calling yourself a real Mexican boxing fan, well, that's a black eye on the whole Mexican fan base. And Dundada, stop listening to Rick Glazier, because you got to be a fucking dummy to listen to Rick Glazier. How would Al Haymon offer Jaime Munguia, and Jaime Munguia is a goddamn fighter that fights on Dazn, a golden boy fighter, you idiot. Al Haymon ain't offered no Canelo Alvarez, no Jaime Munguia, you dummy. Come on, bro. Stop acting like a fucking idiot. Al Haymon don't even like doing business with golden boy. And you up in here talking about, oh man, well, why didn't he offer Canelo Alvarez, Jaime Munguia? That was the problem. Al Haymon wasn't offering him no Jaime Munguia. Canelo Alvarez was seeking that Jaime Munguia shit on his own. You know what I'm saying? If Al Haymon was offering him Jaime Munguia, that fight would be happening right now. Canelo Alvarez would have broke his neck to fight Jaime Munguia on the PBC. How the fuck Al Haymon gonna offer a fighter that's not even with his company? Come on, man. You listen to Rick Glazier tell you all this dumbass shit, and like an idiot, you running with all this shit. Like a goddamn buffoon, you running, listening to Rick Glazier, running with all the news that Rick Glazier's telling you, because Glazier hates Al Haymon. He hates anything that has to do with PBC. And quite frankly, he hates anything to do with any black fighter unless it's Terence Crawford. The only black fighter that Rick Glazier have anything good to say about is Terence Crawford. And that's because Bud Crawford was shitting on the PBC for years. Right, John Kramer. Why does ESPN got all the news for the PBC in Al Haymon? But yeah, but like I said, common sense would tell you if Al Haymon was offering Canelo Alvarez, Jaime Munguia, who he gonna fight next, that fight would be happening on the PBC. But yeah, Canelo is without a shadow of a doubt the biggest duck in all of boxing. Stop trying to compare what Canelo Alvarez is doing to what Gervonta Davis is doing, because it's not the same. It's not the same. Gervonta Davis does not have all of the belts in one division and have a mandatory that's been his mandatory for 3 separate occasions, and he's refusing to fight. Gervonta Davis is not getting offered no $55-60 million and refusing to fight an opponent. Stop trying to compare Tank Davis and Canelo Alvarez. It's not the same. It's not the same. So, I know I got a whole bunch of y'all, hurt, and you're biting blood out your bottom lip and your pussy hurting, but it ain't the same. At all. Now, start comparing Gervonta Davis to Canelo Alvarez when Gervonta Davis becomes undisputed and holds up a division and have the same mandatory for 3+ years and refuse to fight and getting offered $50-60 million. That's when you can start comparing Gervonta Davis to what Canelo Alvarez is doing. Until then, stop comparing what Tank is doing to what Canelo Alvarez is doing. It ain't the same at all. And y'all make sure y'all smash the like button. So Jimbo Slice says this dude knows he's lying to y'all people, but negativity. Okay, well, if I'm lying, one of y'all come up here and tell me, prove to me I'm lying. One of y'all come up here because y'all got a lot to say in the comments. You protected your hero in the comments, but ain't nobody clicked the link because the link is in the chat. Why ain't none of y'all click the link? Ain't none of y'all click the link. Click the link. Ain't none of y'all click the link. Y'all think y'all safe in the comments and don't block none of these clowns. Don't block nobody. Y'all think y'all safe in the comments, but ain't nobody clicking the link. Carl Brown, what's happening with it? Y'all all want to run with these lies from Rick Glazier. Oh man, the PBC was broke. The PBC was broke when it came to paying Canelo the cherry pick. That's what it was. Turn your camera on in the back real quick. Okay, somebody click the link and then click right out. Manny says Canelo is a coward. Nobody should respect this man, and they claim future Hall of Famer. Please, well, it's not hard to get in be a Hall of Famer in the sport of boxing. He a Hall of Famer, but them claiming that he's one of the all-time great Mexican fighters, never. When he retired, they're gonna try to make it seem like that he's one of the all-time great Mexican fighters, but that ain't the case. And what he's gonna do, he's gonna try to retire and make sure that he don't fight anybody else that give him a threat to take another L on his record. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. He's the biggest duck in boxing. So since none of y'all want to click the link, since y'all scared, all the Canelo fanboys is hiding behind the comments. Don't nobody want no smoke. Since none of y'all want no smoke, we can go ahead and move on. We're gonna move on to the next subject, right? So next. Let me see. Hold on. Next, let's talk about Haney. Let's talk about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. I see, man, this Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis beef that's going on between the Haney fans and the Tank fans. Let me tell y'all, man, if you're a Gervonta Davis fan, if you're a Devin Haney fan, y'all got to stop this shit, right? Y'all got to put all of the bullshit aside and be fans of boxing. Before I even get into this Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia shit, right? Y'all got to stop hating on Tank, and then Tank's fans got to stop hating on what's going on with Devin and them. Like, the shit getting out of control because it's petty. It's tit for tat shit. And I'm seeing that shit going on, and a lot of it is funny. You know what I'm saying? But it's tit for tat shit. Like, Tank Davis fans, they was getting all on Tank. I mean, they was getting on Devin and Ryan, talking about how trash that fight is, talking about they screaming it. It ain't gonna do no pay-per-view numbers. They ain't paying to see that bullshit. And then soon as Tank announced that he was fighting Frank Martin, then it was Devin Haney fans' turn to shit on Frank Martin and Tank Davis. And it's like, is we boxing fans or are we just doing like tit for tat shit? Like, they were shitting on my fighter, now I'm a shit on, like, it's just going back and forth instead of just respected when good fights are made. I think before I go into Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin, before I go into that fight, I'm gonna talk about Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. I said on several occasions that I think it's a hell of a fight. I think both fighters are fighting each other at, you know, the top of their game. I think that Ryan Garcia is getting a lot better. And real talk, whether, you know, a lot of Tank Davis fans is gonna get pissed off, but I'm gonna keep it a buck. I think that Ryan Garcia is a much bigger threat going in against Devin Haney than he was against Tank because of the weight stipulations. You can't nobody tell me that he is not more healthier going in against Devin Haney. Now, we don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I'm going to keep it buck with y'all. He was weight drained in that Tank Davis fight. Now, do I think that he would have won against Tank if he wasn't weight drained? I'm not saying that. I never said that shit. I think that he would have been able to give a better account of himself because y'all don't know how it feels to go in the ring and be weight drained and weak. So a lot of Tank diehard fans, they try to act like that didn't exist. That didn't affect Ryan Garcia at all. He was great. I heard people talking about knockout. Yeah, knockout. I heard you talking about, oh man, he was eating pizza and man, he was doing that shit for show. He was doing that shit for show. Straight up and down. If you ain't never had to cut weight, if you ain't never had to be in the ring, don't tell me what the fuck. You can't tell that man, and you can't tell me what was an effect, what didn't have an effect, and what did have an effect. Straight up and down. You can't do that shit. Jimbo Slice, you gotta turn your camera on in the background. Real quick. Okay, bet. Let me finish cooking on this subject, and then we can go back to the Canelo. Let me cook on this subject, and then I'll bring you up, and we can get back into the Canelo debate. You don't gotta keep your camera on. I see you already. You good? I see you. You can turn it back off. But I'll pull you up here in a minute. But that does affect you. I know. I've been in the ring. It affects you when you gotta cut weight. That shit affects you when you weight drain. Now, am I saying, once again, I'm not saying that Tank wouldn't have won the fight still. But moving along, right? Tank wouldn't know no fucking claws. Tank is 5'5", dog. 5'4". Tank don't struggle to make 135 when he's already in shape. Tank ain't struggling to make weight. 10, damn near 5'11", that probably walk around at 170 some pounds. A man that's 5'5". One man is 5'11", 5'10". They got to cut down to 135. It's not the same. Like, it's not the same, bro. So, like I said, you know what I'm saying? I think that Ryan Garcia going into this Devin Haney fight is a much more healthier and much more dangerous fighter than he was going into the Tank fight. Now, it's his problem that he accepted that shit. When you're looking at the bag that you're going to make, and you kind of like look over the position that you put in your body in, that's his fault. He did that. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But moving along, right? Going into this Devin Haney and Garcia fight, I think it's a dangerous fight for Devin. I think that Ryan Garcia, like I said, much healthier, much bigger. Both of them is big. You know what I'm saying? Devin and Ryan, they both big ass. They both big for even 140. They big ass dudes. You know what I'm saying? Neither Devin nor Ryan Garcia are small. Shit, they probably shouldn't have. Neither one of them probably shouldn't have been fighting at 135. And you got to understand that they started their careers at 135. Their professional career. So, and they started young. But like Devin was probably like what, 17? Ryan Garcia was 19, 18 when he started his career professional. So they was both hella young, so they started growing. And they got way too big for the division. That's it. I don't give a fuck what you talking about, Josh Gallimore. I know you from Baltimore. I know you want to take up for Tank. And this ain't even that. I'm just telling y'all what it is. You know what I'm saying? 136, 135, the same shit. 1 pound. You know what I'm saying? With a rehydration clause on the end of it. That shit matters, bro. When you can't fucking rehydrate fully and you already cutting down to a weight that you haven't fought at in 3 years, it matters. Let's stop acting like the shit don't matter. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even talk about the man's broke rib. And Tank told y'all that he knew he had a broke rib because he knew he had got hurt in training camp. I ain't even bringing that up. But at the end of the day, like I said, he still got in the ring. So that's on Ryan Garcia taking the bag instead of looking out for himself. But anyway, the fight moving to New York instead of fighting in Vegas, I think it's a horrible move. I think it's going to hurt Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney a lot because you got Devin Haney that's basically from Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying? He basically from Las Vegas, grew up in Las Vegas, trained in Las Vegas his whole career. And, you know, he got a big fan base in the Bay. And that's right across the street from Las Vegas. Cali and Vegas, they right across the street from each other, right? And then you got Ryan Garcia, he from Cali. So the best place to have this fight is in Las Vegas. They taking a big hit having to move this fight to New York. Yes, New York is a good fight capital, but Devin Haney ain't got no fan base like that in New York. And them niggas in New York, they ain't checking on Ryan Garcia like that. Now, as far as the pay-per-view, I don't think it affects the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view gonna do what it was gonna do regardless. You feel me? Okay. I'll bring you up here real quick. Hold on. Okay, he had to dip. He had to dip. But the pay-per-view is gonna do what it's gonna do regardless. I don't think it's gonna affect the pay-per-view, but I do think it's gonna affect the ticket sales, the gate. I think it's gonna have a big effect on the gate. But the reason they saying that they had to move it from Las Vegas to New York is because Canelo, he fighting like 2 weeks after that. Canelo will be fighting like 2 weeks after that. And so they don't want to get involved with what Canelo got going on, right? In Las Vegas. It's too much of shit going on in Las Vegas, so they had to move it to NY because Canelo Alvarez, they had to make sure everybody tune in and buy the tickets to what Canelo got going on. So, you know, I mean, what can you say? The fighters don't have no control over it. They already had the date locked in. They already had announced it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, what can you really say? I mean, to me, I think that instead of moving it to Las Vegas, they should have just pushed the fight back. They should have pushed the fight back to maybe, June. Push the fight back to June and have it in Vegas. Because in Las Vegas, Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, I think it's big. It's big in Vegas. The gate is gonna be much bigger. You're gonna charge a lot more for tickets. It's a lot bigger in Vegas. Anybody that says that this fight is the same or bigger in New York, it's not. I know a lot of people happy that's in New York that they get to go to a fight in Barclays again because shit, it ain't been a fight in Barclays in years, but it ain't. It's a bad move. Like I said, I think they should have just pushed it back. And Dundada said they should have had it and moved it to Cali. Well, in Cali, you can't charge the ticket prices like you do in Vegas. I know because I've been to big fights in Cali. The tickets are cheaper in Cali than they are in Vegas. And in Cali, really, it ain't shit to do in Cali after the fights. Everything shut down at 2. People go to Vegas because it's the experience. Vegas is popping all night. You leave the fight and you still can party to 5, 6 in the morning. You can't do that shit in Cali. Unless you know about, underground spots in Cali that, most people not going to know about the underground spots. But yeah, you can't really do that in Cali. Real talk. So I think it's a bad business move. But I mean, who's the promoter? Golden Boy and Matchroom. And they known for doing bad business. Golden Boy and Matchroom. Now, I had talked about, you know, I had did a video and I asked the audience, right, in the video, I asked y'all what fight is going to be bigger? Gervonta Davis's next fight or Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, right? And of course, every Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fan, let me say this. Of course, every Devin Haney fan gonna automatically say Ryan and Devin, and every Tank fan gonna automatically say Tank. But I didn't really give an answer, right? Because I said it depends on who Gervonta Davis fights next. That was before I found out that Tank was fighting Frank Martin. Now, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all, right? And answer this question. Who is going to have the biggest pay-per-view next, right? Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, or is it going to be Tank and Frank Martin? And I had to really think hard about this, right? But now, when I think about it, when you look at Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, right, and them moving the fight to New York, them having that fight a couple weeks before Canelo Alvarez's fight, I don't think that has an effect on pay-per-views. But what I do think is going to have an effect on the pay-per-view buys, that's what I'm going to tell y'all what's going to have the biggest effect on the pay-per-view buys. The fight being on Dazn. If it's on pay, because I've heard rumors that they might not even have it on pay-per-view. But if this fight is on pay-per-view, what's going to affect the ticket sales, and I wasn't even taking this into account, and I had forgot, it's going to be on Dazn. A lot of people don't fuck with Dazn. If you got to have the Dazn app to pay for this pay-per-view, or, you know, if you got to be signed up with Dazn, a lot of people not going to do it because a lot of people still not like savvy like that. A lot of people still don't even know what Dazn is. And I'm talking about the casual boxing fans. The casual boxing fans, they're not going to go out of their way to order the fight on Dazn. They just not. We know the history with Dazn. With Dazn, their pay-per-view numbers are always low because a lot of times it's only because it's on Dazn. The only time Dazn did huge pay-per-view numbers besides Canelo Alvarez and Triple G, did that fight, was the second fight even on Dazn? I don't even think the second fight was on Dazn. The only time they really did pay-per-view numbers that was big is Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. And we know that was a joint pay-per-view, and most people ordered that shit on Showtime. So I think the fact that it's going to be on Dazn, I think that's going to be the factor that makes Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin's fight bigger than Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. And I'm talking about the pay-per-view. That's the only factor to me. Now, if they didn't have it on Dazn, let's say that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney was fighting on, let's just say, you know, Showtime. We know Showtime not in boxing no more. But let's just say the fight was on, like, you know, like something like Showtime or Fox, PBC on Fox. Then I think that Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia will be bigger than Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin. Because Devin Haney is bigger than Frank Martin, and Ryan Garcia is bigger than Frank Martin. And Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis, they both have huge names. So, yeah, I think that, you know, that Devin and Ryan would be bigger if it wasn't on Dazn. But it's, you know, Dazn has yet to show me that they can put together a successful huge pay-per-view if they're not working with another company like they did with Showtime. They haven't shown me that yet. I ain't seen it yet. So yeah, when I start thinking about it, and I said, damn, this fight is gonna be on Dazn. It's gonna hurt the pay-per-view numbers. John Kramer said Tank is bigger than all of them, in my opinion. Well, he is when it comes to boxing fans, but when it comes to overall, just fan base, I don't know if Tank is bigger than Ryan Garcia. Real talk, because you see, this fight is gonna be telling for Tank. I'm gonna keep it a buck. You see, y'all be getting mad and salute to my man Calvin Elliott in the Cash App. He the only one that came through and supported your boy. Ain't nobody supporting. And I appreciate man came through in the Cash App and supported. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button at least. Smash the like button. So this is my thing, right? This Frank Martin fight is gonna be telling for Gervonta Davis also. Now, I'm supporting both fights. I'm gonna support the Frank Martin and Tank fight, and I'm gonna support the Ryan Garcia and Devin fight. I think both of them are good fights. Each fan base is shitting on the other fight, but I think they both solid fights, right? But this fight with Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin, it's gonna be telling for Tank Davis. Because, you know, a lot of people saying that Tank is the face of boxing, the biggest fighter in boxing right now besides Canelo Alvarez. And a lot of people saying that people bought the Ryan Garcia and Tank pay-per-view because of Gervonta Davis only. Well, that's putting the pressure on Tank. And that's saying that Tank gonna have to come back, and he gonna have to do big-ass pay-per-view numbers again. If Tank come back and he only do 250K, 300,000 pay-per-view buys, it's still good, but that shows that Tank ain't the reason that all these casual boxing fans bought Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. And that's just the truth. So this will be telling for Gervonta Davis his next fight. If he don't do 500, 600,000 pay-per-view buys, then we cannot continue to say that, oh, people only bought the Ryan Garcia fight because it's Tank, because Tank is a huge superstar. I'm going to tell you another thing. If they try to pull that shit over our eyes and don't come out with the pay-per-view numbers like they did with David Haney's last pay-per-view, well, we know what that is. You know what I'm saying? We know what that is. J.A. Dixon, what's happening with it? And my man, Zach B in the super chat, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you coming through and showing some love to the channel. Mr. Holmes said he don't think Tank is knocking out Frank. I'm gonna break down that fight in a minute. Ohio Styles, what's happening with it? J.A. Dixon says, why would anyone say that knowing it depends on the dancing partner and both fights have to be be looked at under the pay-per-view buy scope? Well, that's my whole point that I've been making J.A. Dixon. My whole point is not to say that Ryan Garcia is not a star and that Gervonta Davis is not a star. My whole point is to say that because people were saying that Gervonta Davis is the reason that they did 1.2, 1.3 million pay-per-views. What I say is that if you take Gervonta Davis's pay-per-view numbers that he did before with Rolly and everybody else he was on pay-per-view with, and you take the numbers that he did with Ryan Garcia, you can't say it was only because Tank, that's why they did 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. You got to keep it real and say it was because of both of them. You have both fighters that had a lot of star power come together, and together they sold those pay-per-views. But for the people that want to say it was only because of Tank, well, this next fight that Tank has with Frank Martin, it's going to tell you everything you need to know. It's going to tell you everything you need to know. Because if he don't do at least 500, 600,000 pay-per-view buys, well, it's going to tell you that it wasn't just because of Tank. It was because of Ryan Garcia and Tank. Straight up and down. And if they don't come out with the numbers and they try to play the games like they do when the pay-per-view numbers are low, well, then y'all know what that is also. That it didn't do well. Now, to me, it really don't matter. Right? This is just something that I'm talking about because these are the conversations that come up with this boxing shit all the time. People want to know how many pay-per-view buys did such and such do? And what did this pay-per-view do compared to this pay-per-view? So for everybody that's watching, no, I don't really give a damn. It's just things that we talk about. I'm really more so on the product in the ring. Now, I already told y'all I like the Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney fight. Hopefully Ryan Garcia don't pull out. Because if Ryan Garcia pull out of this Devin Haney fight because they move it to New York, because he's basically threatening that he was going to pull out in so many words. All on Twitter, right? Complaining because they moved the fight to New York. And yeah, we know that he pissed off because he's not going to make as much money with it being in New York. So Ryan Garcia is a businessman, but you can't pull out the fight, dog. If Devin ain't willing to pull out, you can't pull out. So if Ryan Garcia continues to go forth with this fight and he don't pull out, I like the fight. It's going to be a hell of a fight. If he pull out, I'm not fucking with Ryan Garcia ever again. I don't even want to hear nobody say a Ryan or a Garcia to me if he pull out. That's just what it is. Josh Gallimore, bro, you got to chill with this super fan shit, dog. Like, you got to chill with this super fan shit, dog. Like, this super fan shit is certain people that I know are super fan. Like, chill, man. Chill with the super fan shit, dog. Let's have a regular boxing conversation, right? Without all of the super fan shit. You know? Let's just wait and see who does what. At the end of the day, I think that I can get off of this bullshit that I have to talk about if y'all get off of this bullshit, right? We waste too much of time having to talk about pay-per-view numbers and a lot of bullshit that don't matter, that shouldn't matter to fans. Like, real talk. Real talk. Somebody explain to me why pay-per-view numbers should matter to a fan. Why a gate who sold the most tickets should matter to a fan. If you can come on here and explain why this should matter to a fan, right? I'm gonna drop you the link, Josh Gallimore. If you can come up here and tell me why who sold what should matter to a fan. And if you can't come up here and tell me that, then I'm gonna click you back out, put you back in the background, and then we're gonna continue with the conversation that I'm having. That's what I want to know. Cause see, I see a lot of this shit going on between, let's just keep it buck. I see a lot of this shit going on between Devin Haney fan base and Tank Davis fan base and just like fan bases of certain fighters, right? It's a lot of crying and arguing about who sold what and this and that. If the fights are made already, let's stop talking about this shit. Let's talk about what's going to be the better product inside the ring. What is the better product inside the ring? Who's going to put on the better show inside the ring? I think that's a better conversation to have. What's going to be the better fight to watch for the fans? What is the most exciting fight? Is it Devin and Ryan Garcia, or is it Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin? That's what we should be arguing about, debating about, talking about. Which one the better fight? Which one is the more entertaining fight for the fans? Like, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. I'm getting wore out with a lot of this bullshit in boxing. Like, it's just a lot of bullshit going on. Like, you go on Twitter or X or whatever you call it. You got motherfuckers on there telling Shakur that he's afraid to fight Kid Austin. Like, people really debating this shit and talking about you're afraid to fight Kid Austin. Man, Kid Austin ain't even that good. Like, this shit is just turned into like super casual fan shit. I like this fighter and I don't like this fighter, so I'm gonna shit on this fighter, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. But yeah, I like the Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia fight. I think it's gonna be a hell of a fight, and it could actually go two ways, man. It could go two ways. I can see it go two different ways, you know. I could see Devin going in there and using his angles and confusing Ryan Garcia, right, with his angles, and Ryan Garcia getting confused and Devin Haney just unleashing combos on him and you know, just beating him up on points. Or I could see Ryan Garcia cutting off the ring, using his jab, going to the body, and making Devin Haney have to fight a dog fight and catching Devin and knocking his ass clean out. So it's a fight that I look at and I really don't know how the fight gonna go because it could go two different ways. Ryan Garcia is he's a very talented fighter with flaws. Devin Haney is more so an all-around fighter that's a very, you know, he's a hell of a boxer. Defense is B level. I give him a B level defense. He more so uses his legs for defense. But Devin can box your head off. He can box your head off. But you know, can he stay away from Ryan Garcia? Can Ryan Garcia catch up to him and cut off the ring? So I mean, it's a good fight, a hell of a fight. I don't know how the fight gonna go. That's why I'm interested in watching the fight. That's why it's a fight that I'm intrigued and ready to watch. Now, when it comes to Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis, I think that this fight could be a chess match until Tank get tired and just, you know, stump down on Frank Martin. Frank Martin, he does present things to Tank that Tank is not used to seeing in professional fights. And I'm talking about not sparring. I'm talking about inside the ring. Frank Martin does present things that Tank is not used to seeing throughout his whole career. Even when you go back to Pedraza, if you go back and watch that, because a lot of people say, oh man, Tank fought Jose Pedraza. Man, Pedraza's a hell of a boxer. He moved. Pedraza stepped straight to Tank and tried to fight Tank toe-to-toe. He tried to fight Tank toe-to-toe. Pedraza didn't use no footwork and head movement and boxing against Tank. He tried to go in there and fight Tank toe-to-toe, and Tank, we know what Tank did to him. So when you look at Tank's resume, he haven't been in the ring with nobody that has the footwork that Frank Martin has, right? That's the only thing to me when I look at Frank Martin that I see that could give Gervonta Davis a problem, if so at all. Because Tank, he got footwork himself. Tank got hell of a footwork. He just not used to having to use it in live action, right? He not used to having to use his footwork in live action. The only time we really had to see Gervonta Davis really put in that footwork is with Isaac Cruz, and Isaac Cruz is a flat-footed Mexican fighter. He used it a little bit against Rolly, and Rolly is a flat-footed fighter. He used it against Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is a flat-footed fighter. We've never seen him have to use his footwork against somebody that can keep up with him, that actually has footwork on their own. Money, what's happening with it? I'll see you, bro. So I think that in that regards, Frank Martin can use that in his favor and giving Gervonta Davis a look that he hasn't had to use before inside the ring. But at the end of the day, I think that Frank Martin got too many flaws, because when Gervonta Davis, decides that he gonna turn up the heat on Frank, when he see that he can take Frank's power and he turns up the heat on Frank, that's where Frank Martin is gonna have all the trouble in the world. Because I've seen Frank, his defense ain't all that. He got leaky defense. He's not hard to hit. And you know, like Frank Martin, man, I just think, honestly, I think it's gonna be a good, exciting fight. In the beginning, probably for like the first 5 rounds, I think they're gonna use the first 4 or 5 rounds to fill each other out. I don't think it's gonna be exciting for the first 4 or 5 rounds. Then after Tank Davis, he kind of get in his groove. I think he gonna start stalking Frank Martin down. And Frank Martin, like I said, his defense is leaky. He do got good footwork. He's smooth with his footwork, but his defense is leaky. And he will stand there with you and try to fight you. And I think that's where Frank Martin is going to go wrong. And Tank is going to knock him out. I think, you know, Frank probably lasts 9 rounds. But I think eventually, you know, Tank going to catch up to him and knock him out. I see a lot of people giving Frank Martin a chance to go the distance. I don't see it. But I could be wrong. This is another reason I think this is an exciting fight. But when it comes to a fight that I want to see more, because just a fight I don't really know what's going to happen, is Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. That's a fight that I see that could play out several different ways. With Tank Davis and Frank Martin, I see that playing out one way. I think that plays out with Gervonta Davis ending up walking Frank Martin down in the middle to late rounds and stopping him. Who the fuck said that Frank got more power than Rolly? Frank Martin have hell no. Frank Martin don't even have the fucking 50% of the power that Rolly got. Frank Martin, he a good puncher, but he ain't nowhere near the level on Rolly. It's crazy that you brought Rolly's power up, right? I was watching the interview with Jahai Ingram. That's the young cat that knocked out Rolly in sparring. Y'all know that footage that came out with Rolly getting dropped in sparring after he got dropped by Tank? Well, he talked about Rolly because he said that he sparred Gervonta Davis and he sparred Rolly. This is somebody that knocked out Rolly in sparring. And he said Rolly's power is on a different level than even Tank's power. He said Tank can crack. He said Tank more so hit you with shit that you don't see. But he said comparing Tank's power to Rolly's power, he said Rolly is like getting hit by boulders. He said Tank is like getting hit with rocks. He said Rolly hit way harder than Tank. And this is so before Josh Gallimore and everybody else start crying and Tank, because y'all, man, you say anything that y'all think is not in the favor of Gervonta Davis, y'all get to crying like a motherfucker. I'm just telling y'all what somebody said that sparred both of them. So with that being said, we already heard Gervonta Davis told you that Rolly cracked. Tank said that Rolly cracked it. So ain't no way that Rolly hit near as hard as, that Frank Martin can crack on the level of Rolly. Nah, not at all. Yeah, Tank fought. Rolly said Barroso hit harder than Tank. But Tank is sharp. That's what Jahai Ingram said. He said, Jahai Ingram said, Rolly, right? He said, Rolly, you can see his shit coming from a mile away. He said, and you try to block this shit and it still hurt. He said, but with Tank, he said, Tank is the sharpness. Tank hits you in spots that you don't see and you just sleep. He said, so you can take, like, this is the thing, right? When I try to break down Gervonta Davis and tell people that people can take his power if they see his shit coming, I've been saying that. Like, yeah, that's not to say that Tank don't hit hard. Of course he hit hard. But if you see Gervonta Davis in these fights, People take his power until he catch them with the shot that they don't see. So with Tank, it's more so power mixed with the sharpness, right? And the speed, him catching you with shit that you don't see. Like Ryan Garcia, right? Ryan Garcia can crack. But Ryan Garcia, you can take his power if you see his shit coming. But with Ryan, he can get all his knockouts because he catch you with the shit that you don't see and then you sleeping. Same thing with Tank. Tank catch you with shit that you don't see. If you see it coming and you can brace for Tank shit, you can take his power. But Rolly, they say, man, you see his shit coming from a mile away and it shit still hurts, still feel like a boulder hitting you. My man says, don't be surprised if you see a draw between Ryan and Garcia. I don't see that fight being no draw, my guy, because I see that fight going. I don't see Ryan Garcia being able to box on the level of Devin Haney, right? But if Devin Haney gets in the firefight to where Ryan Garcia can cut off the ring, I see Ryan Garcia hurting Devin Haney and stopping him. So that's why that fight, to me, this is just my opinion. I'm more excited to see Ryan, I'm more excited to see Ryan and Devin because I'm like, I don't know what can happen. Devin can either outbox his ass and make him look stupid, or Ryan Garcia can knock his ass out. I don't know what's going to happen in that fight. I want to see it. Now, with Tank, I'm like, yeah, it's a good fight. I'm not shitting on the fight with Frank Martin. It's better than him fighting Ryu, because Ryu, I know what's going to happen in that fight. Ryu going to sleep. He going to get caught with some shit that he don't see because he ain't got no defense like that, and he going to go to sleep, even though I like Ryu. I fuck with him, but that's just how I feel about it. But I think that Frank Martin, like I said, can present some things and give Tank, he can frustrate Tank in the beginning. But how long is it going to last? And once Tank started walking him down and they really start engaging, I think Tank is going to knock him out. Because I've seen Frank Martin get hit with big shots by fighters that came near, that don't crack near as hard as Gervonta Davis. I've seen Frank Martin have trouble with guys like what's the dude name that beat Rolly ass, but they gave Rolly the gift decision? And man, what's his name? Damn, man, what's the fighter that Rolly won his first title off of, but damn really lost every round? I always forget his name every time I try to bring his name up. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, Jackson Marias. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, Jackson. I've seen Frank Martin was losing in that Jackson Marias fight. He getting his ass outboxed until Jackson Marias slowed down because he took the fight on short notice, and then Frank Martin eventually stopped him. Frank Martin stopped him in the 11th round. But I was watching that fight and watching Frank Martin lose that fight clearly. When Frank Martin fought this last fighter that he just fought, a lot of people thought Frank Martin lost that last fight. Let's just keep it a buck. Now, I believe when the fight was going on, I was kind of watching the fight and watching something else at the same time, because I believe when the Frank Martin had his last fight, it was a lot of shit going on that Saturday night. I think it was UFC was on, and there was some other shit going on too. So I was kind of trying to watch the Frank Martin fight along with some other fights that was on. So I never got to really just sit down and watch, that fight. But a lot of people thought that a lot of people were saying Frank Martin lost that fight. Now, what I did see, I saw the fight, but I didn't really get to lock in on it. What I did see is Frank Martin was having a lot of trouble in that fight. A lot of trouble. And that was a very close fight. So Frank is a cool fighter, but he's not beating Tank. But it's a good fight for Tank Because let's just keep it realistic. I see a lot of people crying, talking about, well, he ain't fighting Shakur next. Well, let's just keep it realistic. Tank and Shakur wasn't going to fight next. Shakur got one fight left on his contract. And to keep it a buck, Shakur sounded like he going to re-sign with Top Rank to me. Like, I'll be reading between the lines, you know, with shit that Shakur be saying, and he sound like he going to re-sign with Top Rank to me. I'm going to just keep it a buck with y'all. Okay. And, you know, like I said, man, it's too difficult of a situation for Shakur to leave, because if Shakur leave Top Rank, he got to leave Jay Prince probably. And Shakur fiance, she signed under Jay Prince also. You know, that's a team. And Jay Prince, he don't do no business. None of his fighters do no business with Al Haney. So Shakur, he finna sign back with Top Rank. He wasn't gonna take the first offer that they gave him, but he probably gonna sign back with Top Rank. So right now, with one more fight left, and Shakur trying to, you know, get the best deal he could get, that fight with Tank Davis wasn't gonna happen. And I'm not even saying that Tank was interested in fighting Shakur right now. But we talk about a lot of shit that we know that ain't even realistic. Tank wouldn't finna send no Shakur Stevenson on Top Rank, no offer. Could he have sent Shakur an offer? I mean, yeah, but I mean, are they even gonna make that fight right now? Like, I don't like we gotta talk about shit that's realistic. You know, what was realistic was Devin and Tank. They could have fought if both of them really had wanted to fight. I don't think now one of them really wanted to fight each other. Devin didn't want to fight Tank because he was demanding that Tank go to 140 and wasn't going to be no rehydration clause and this, and that. And Tank ain't want to fight Devin because, like, he ain't want to really negotiate to fight him. So, it's like, now one of them want to fight each other right now. So, the next best, my bad. I've been talking too long. I need some water. Hold on. The next best option, I'm tongue-tied, was Frank Martin and Tank. That was Tank's next best option, was Frank Martin. Who else was he gonna fight? Carl Brown said Shakur and Keyshawn gonna stay with Top Rank. I don't know about Keyshawn. Keyshawn ain't signed with Jay Prince. Keyshawn ain't signed with Jay Prince, so Keyshawn might leave. You know, I don't know. Keyshawn still, he still got a long ways to go for us even to entertain that conversation. Y'all smash on my like button. And my man Calvin, the Queen Sheena is in the building. I appreciate you, Queen, for the cash app. I appreciate you, Queen. And Anthony Johnson in that cash app also. Appreciate you. But yeah, you know, we gotta entertain shit that we actually see happening. Like, we can argue about fantasy shit all day. Like, I see people still arguing about Canelo Alvarez and Terence Bud Crawford. Like, why are we still arguing about Canelo and Bud when Canelo said it's 0% chance that he ever fights Terence Bud Crawford? But I'm seeing interviews and I'm seeing people all down Twitter and on interviews and shit still talking about what Bud Crawford can do to Canelo and what Bud Crawford is going to do to Canelo. Like, let's stop arguing about shit that's not happening so we can move on and talk about shit that can at least possibly happen. Carl Brown said Keyshawn still got a lot of growing up to do. He's still young. I think Keyshawn is a viable contender right now. I really do. I think Keyshawn has shown that he's a threat to anybody. I think Keyshawn has shown that he's a threat to anybody. Real talk. You know, when these fighters have an amateur background like Keyshawn Davis and Andy Cruz and, you know, and they 26 years old. Like, they ready. Keyshawn is what, 25? How old is Keyshawn? 25, 26? He the same age as Teofimo. Let me see. Keyshawn Davis, he the same age. Oh, he 24. Okay, so Keyshawn 24. Now, is Keyshawn in his prime? Hell no. Is he still gonna get better? Yes. But I think, a silver medalist, I think when you have that amateur background like that, I think once you got, 10, 11 fights in, when you got an amateur background like Keyshawn Davis, I think you pretty much ready, to step up on that top level. I think Keyshawn, give him one more fight against somebody like, real talk, I would put Keyshawn in there with like a Williams Zepeda. Real talk, I think he's ready. But see, these fighters, man, these fighters and these promoters, they be wanting to marinate shit now. Like, we should be seeing fighters like Keyshawn Davis fight Raymond Moore Tyler. That's like, people was talking about Shakur and Raymond Moore Tyler. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight, but that's more so a fight for Keyshawn Davis. Somebody that hasn't really had a big fight yet. Put them two in the ring with each other. And we see who better. Which one is the better up-and-coming fighter? But see, these promoters, they're not going to do that. Because they see fighters like Moore Tyler and fighters like Keyshawn Davis. They want to build them into being superstars. And they do it a different way now. Carl Brown says, I'm not a Bud hater, but Canelo would smash Crawford. Yeah, man, it's the size difference in everything. Like, you're not going up 3 weight divisions and fighting. Let's just keep it real. I feel how I feel about Canelo, but at the end of the day, he's still by far one of the best 168 pounders in the weight division. I don't think that he's on the level of Benavidez, and I don't think that he can fuck with David Morrell. But I think he's the third best 168 pounder in the division. And so so Terence is not moving up no 3 weight divisions and beating somebody on that level. First of all, you don't know how your body is going to perform fighting in live ring action with 10-ounce gloves on at 168 pounds. You don't know how you're going to fight. Everybody always talking about some goddamn, man, check this out, right? I'm watching the interview with Shakur, and Shakur is talking about that. Well, Crawford, he sparred 168 pounders all the time. He in the gym sparring, big guys all the time. The fuck does that supposed to mean? Because Errol Spence was sparring light heavyweights, does that mean that Errol Spence can move up to light heavyweight and beat the top light heavyweight? Like, it just sounds stupid. Like, people say dumb shit. Like, that's dumb to me. Like, because he's sparring motherfucking sparring partners that are nowhere near the level of Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez and David Morrell, does not mean that he can get in there and beat a Canelo Alvarez in a real fight with 10-ounce gloves on. Like, people be saying that shit like, oh man, he spars 175 pounders, man. Okay. Those 175 pounders ain't the best fighter in the world. Best fighters in the world, or one of the best fighters in the world. It's not the same. It's crazy, man. Like, and when it comes to Bud, right? People say like, "Oh, you hating on Bud?" No, it's just telling the truth. Like, did we forget that Terence Crawford had a tooth and nails fight with Sean Porter 2 fights ago? Like, he had a tooth and nails fight with Sean Porter too. So does that mean that Sean Porter could have moved up to 168 and damn near beat Canelo Alvarez? Do I think that Crawford is a special fighter? Yeah, he's a special fighter, but he ain't that damn special. He get in there with Canelo, he gonna be special, all right. His brain gonna be special. He gonna be special needs. But you know, now can Bud do some damage at 154? That's a different story, yes. But not moving up 3-weight divisions. Motherfucker, he a special fighter. Yeah, all right. He gonna be special, all right. He get in there with Canelo. I don't even y'all know how I feel about Canelo, but I mean, come on, we gotta keep it a buck. J7 said you would like to see Bud versus Virgil or Timzu or Jamel. Those are winnable fights. Like Jamel Charlo and Bud Crawford, that's a fight that we should be talking about. Because he go up there he go up there and fight Canelo. You thought that Jamel looked bad. Well, Terence Crawford is going to sleep because he gonna try to fight. Bud ain't gonna, and plus you go up to 168 pounds, he ain't gonna be able to move around the ring like that. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna be able to move around like that. So yeah, is what it is, you know. Just fantasy fight. I'm glad that we don't have to talk about that Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez shit no more. And I'm glad that Canelo said straight out, it's 0% chance. Now shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway, man, y'all smash the like button. Y'all smash the like button. Put a comment in the comment section. What fight are y'all more excited about? The Devin Haney fight with Ryan Garcia or the Gervonta Davis fight with Frank Martin? Before I close out, put a comment in the comment section and let me know what fight are y'all more excited about? The Devin Ryan fight or Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin? J7 said Tank and Frank. Dundada says Loma and Cambosis. Devon says Tank. What the fuck? I just realized what Dundada typed in there and said, man, if you don't get the hell out of here with that Loma and Cambosis bullshit. Spec says Tank and Frank. Honestly, I know how Devin and Ryan is going to play out. We don't know how Devin and Ryan is going to play out. You think, but you don't know. AJ, let me see. Cool J says Tank and Frank. A1, what's happening with it? A1, I ain't see you in here. A1 said all of them that's taking place. Bama Jeff, he say Dev fan. He says as a Dev fan, Frank versus Davis. Okay, I know you a Dev fan too. Jay Miller said Tank and Frank. Timothy Taylor said Devin versus Ryan because they have a rivalry since amateurs. Yeah, yep, they sure do. Money Brown say my brother Money say he like a both. I like them both, but I think I would have to give the edge to Devin and Ryan just because. Like I said, Money, I don't know the outcome of that fight. Like, to me, that fight is kind of like, it really got me like, this shit could go two different ways. With Tank and Frank, I know what I think I know what we going to see in that fight. I think Tank going to get him up out of there. Uno Munoz said Tank fight, Tank and Frank, PLG ski. Let me see. Jay Dixon says, Tank and Frank, all action, but I like them both. Trackmaster said Tank versus Frank. Please stop discrediting Frank. I ain't discrediting. I'm giving you what I see in Frank. I'm not going to give you what you want me to say. That's the difference. Now, if you got something else that you see in Frank and you got a different breakdown than Frank, well, say what your breakdown is. Don't tell me I'm discrediting him because I think that Gervonta Davis knocked his ass out. I'm not building no motherfucking narrative. Like I said, nigga, if you got something different that you want to say, you go on your channel or build you one and say what the fuck you want to say. Don't come on my shit talking about I'm building a narrative. You know what I'm saying? I gave you my opinion and I broke down what I see in Frank Martin. True Culture said Tank, 2 black boxes, Ryan Garcia is trash. PLGC Ski says both good, but I'm trying to see that action only reason I chose the Tank and the Tank fight. Real talk, like let's just keep it real though, right? Everything Boxing said, remember we got 50 push-ups on the Tank versus Frank fight. Oh, we can do that for sure. I think Frank gets stopped, but when people say that, to me, I think that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney gonna be a more exciting fight because, like, Tank is not an all-out action fighter like that, and Frank Martin ain't an all-out action fighter like that. I think that we won't really get that all-out action in Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis until later on in the fight. Like, Tank don't just go at his opponents like that early. He like to feel you out. I think it's gonna be more of a boxing match until they feel each other out until like the second half of the fight. With Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, Devin will fight. Devin gonna fight, and Ryan Garcia, he's gonna press you. Ryan is gonna press you from the time that the bell rings. So to me, that's a more action-packed fight, Ryan Garcia and Devin, because how Ryan is going to make you fight, and Devin, he'll fight. You know what I'm saying? He might be fighting off of his back foot, but he going to fight. He going to throw combinations. He going to try to, be on the move, and Ryan coming straight at you. He coming to attack your ass. He dropping bombs. He might get reckless. And Tank don't fight like that, nor does Frank Martin fight like that. New era boxing, you can't come in here. You really don't know shit about boxing. I'm gonna tell anybody that's in here. If anybody that come in here saying that Ryan Garcia Haney is gonna be boring, you really don't know shit about boxing. Because when have you ever seen Ryan Garcia in a boring fight? When have you ever seen Ryan Garcia in a boring fight? When have you ever seen Ryan go in there and not press his opponent out? Or at least try to. He tried to press Tank. He had Tank fighting on his back foot. Ryan Garcia is an action-packed fighter. And Devin Haney has shown that he's been in action-packed fights too. He'll fight, not all the time, but if he got somebody in there that's going to make him fight, he's going to fight. New Era said his last fight was trash. Okay, you just in here running your mouth. Because the last time I checked, Ryan Garcia's last fight, he got a KO. So you just talking. PLG Ski says, I feel like Devin gonna box outside all night in the ring with someone long. 12 round clinch unless Ryan get lucky with a hook. Ryan is not gonna let just Devin outbox him on the outside. Like, real talk, Ryan Garcia is much longer than Regis Prograis. You're not gonna see the same style fight what happened with Regis Prograis. Ryan Garcia was able to box Regis Prograis in that matter because Regis has short arms and he much shorter. Ryan was able to, Devin. Devin was able to do what he did to Regis Prograis because Regis has short arms and he's short. So he's able to stay on the outside, and with Regis Prograis not able to close the distance and cut off the ring, you saw what you saw. It wasn't a boring fight. It was just a one-side ass whooping, right? And then when you see Devin fight George Kambosos is another smaller fighter that have a short arm reach, and Devin was able to stay on the outside and just make it a boring fight the first fight. The second fight wasn't boring, right? Because Devin made sure he engaged more in the second fight. I'm just speaking from this shit as a true fan and keeping it real, right? A lot of y'all, like, y'all got a vendetta. Y'all, oh, I'm Team Tank or I'm Team Devin, so y'all gonna shit on the other fighter. That's just what y'all do in boxing nowadays. When I talk about this shit, I'm talking about it from a realistic standpoint. And Ryan Garcia ain't never in a boring fight. So with Ryan and Devin can't go about the fight with Ryan Garcia the same way that he did with a Regis program. Ryan is much longer. He probably got the same reach as Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? Or they're around the same reach. And so he's going to have to approach the fight differently. He ain't going to be able to just stay on the outside and run and move and pop shot and move, because at some point in time, Ryan Garcia is going to be able to catch up to him. And so I think that fight is going to be a more exciting fight from the jump. I think it's going to be more exciting from the jump. But we're going to see. But I like both fights. You know what I'm saying? I like both of the fights. That was an action-packed fight because Oscar Duarte was pressing Ryan Garcia out the whole fight. How are you going to sit up here and tell me that Oscar Duarte and Ryan Garcia was boring when you had motherfucking Oscar Duarte dropping bombs, you know what I'm saying, swinging for the fences on Ryan Garcia the whole fight? You acting like they was up in there fucking filling each other out, not throwing punches. Come on, man. Like, see, that's the shit that I'm talking about. I'm saying, y'all, when y'all talk about this shit, stop just saying shit just to say it. The only fight that I've ever seen in with Ryan Garcia that was boring was when he fought Emmanuel Tago, and that's because Tago was running from Ryan the whole motherfucking fight, and Ryan could not catch up to that little motherfucker. Tago was a little fast motherfucker, and Ryan couldn't catch up to him. That's the only fight that I've really ever seen Ryan in that you could say was somewhat boring. Ryan ain't in boring fights. One thing about Ryan, he gonna make you have to fight. But he couldn't catch up to that little fast-ass motherfucker. You know, other than that, Ryan gonna fight. True culture. Everybody that you guys are naming, right? See, this is the thing. Y'all type shit, but you don't think before you type it. And no disrespect, but I continue to break it down for y'all. And I'm going to read your comment in True Culture, and I'm going to tell you where you're wrong at. You said that Devin Haney can't go toe-to-toe with Ryan. It will be another Loma versus Haney fight. Ryan Garcia hit harder. It's not going to be a Loma versus Haney fight, my guy, because Loma was another small fighter. Loma is small with short arms, right? Devin was able to, until Loma caught up to Devin with his footwork and started confusing him, Devin was able to stay on the outside and kind of keep Loma at bay with his body shots. When we talk about Ryan Garcia is taller than Devin and probably have a longer arm reach or about the same arm reach, right? So it's going to be harder for Devin to stay on the outside. Yeah, Devin gonna come in. He gonna try to use his angles and his, movement. And I see Ryan having a hard time catching up with Devin for a while. But Devin ain't gonna be able to do that shit for no 12 rounds like he did against Regis. Ryan is eventually gonna make Devin have to slow his pace down. He gonna step to Devin because he gonna be throwing shit at Devin that Devin is gonna be very cautious to be hit by. Unlike he was with Regis, because Regis couldn't get nowhere near him. And then you're going to see Ryan make Devin have to fight. Now, if Devin let his hands go and use his combinations and movement at the same time, he can confuse Ryan. That's what Ryan is going to have to do. Ryan is going to have to be able to slow Devin Haney down and make Devin Haney afraid to let his hands go. Because if you go back to like fights like Regis, Devin was throwing combinations, fucking Regis up with combinations. If you go all the way back to when Devin fought Jorge Linares, Devin stepped to Jorge Linares and was pressing him out with combinations. He wasn't just throwing 1-2s and one shot at a time. He was throwing 3-4 shots at a time against Linares. Now, if Devin started doing that, against Ryan Garcia, and then Ryan Garcia can't catch him with some shit to slow him down, then Ryan is gonna have a long day. So, like I said, man, this fight can play out a whole lot of different ways. Now, Frank Martin, like I said with Frank, if Frank go in there and he sharp and he using his footwork, he could give Tank some problems. But I just think that Frank Martin's defense ain't up to par. And I don't think that Frank Martin cracked hard enough to really slow Gervonta Davis down when Tank Davis pressed that gas and decide that he want to make it a real dog fight. Because yeah, when y'all talk about Frank Martin and Gervonta Davis, I think it's gonna be a hell of a fight down the stretch, the second half of the fight. I think that Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, we could get action from the beginning of the fight, right? So both of them are gonna be exciting. Let's just put it like that. Both fights are gonna be exciting. I just think that Ryan and Devin is gonna be exciting from, the time the bell ring, or maybe like the second round on, because of how Ryan Garcia is gonna press Devin. And then, Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin, that's gonna be exciting second half. Because I don't see Frank Martin really pressing on Tank. I see Tank having to get on his front foot and press out Frank Martin. And that's when that fight going to get exciting. We see Tank usually do that. Tank will usually, fill out his opponent for 5-6 rounds, and then he going to press the gas. He going to press on the gas, and that's exactly what I think that he going to do to Frank Martin. But Frank Martin, he got a chance to prove me wrong. Frank Martin got a chance to prove me wrong. He might go in there and fool everybody. We might see why Gervonta Davis has never been in the ring with anybody that has footwork. We might see. Oh, okay. This is why Tank ain't never been in the ring with nobody that got footwork. But I don't think that we see that because, like I said, I think that Tank, he got footwork too. I think it's gonna be a chess match for a little bit. AJ 64. Now that's a boring fight. When we talk about boring fights, Devin Haney and Richardson Hitchens. Now that's a fight. If y'all want to call boring, like I would like to fight because it's a technical fight. I like the sweet signs. I like technical fights, but that's a fight that y'all would call boring, and I couldn't argue with y'all. You know what I'm saying? If Devin Haney and Richardson Hitchens fight, that would be boring. Devin Haney and Ryan ain't gonna be boring because of styles. It's a clash of styles. You know what I'm saying? It's a clash of styles. But yeah. That's a hell of a fight, though. Devin Haney and Richardson Hitchens, that's a hell of a fight. It's a clash of styles, though. I mean, they both have the same style, so it'll be boring. But Devin and Ryan is a clash of styles. Two totally different styles. You know what I'm saying? Two totally different styles. Sheena says, is there a rehydration clause in the Haney versus Garcia contract? Hell no. They both fighting each other, no rehydration clause, 140 pounds. So we got some good shit to look forward to. We got some good fights to look forward to. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure that y'all hit my like button. My bad, Matayo Yoel in the super chat, man. I appreciate you for coming through, supporting the channel, my God. Always showing love to the channel. But y'all make sure that y'all smash my like button. I appreciate everybody that came through here and rock with me. I'm going to try to come back on again tomorrow, give y'all another live stream tomorrow. I'll be having so much going on. Haven't been able to do live streams, but I'm going to try to go in tomorrow, give y'all another live stream. So be on the lookout. If they don't send out the notification, be on the lookout tomorrow again. And I appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure that y'all hit the like button if y'all ain't hit it. And y'all already know how I do. Dang, go talking that boxing again. And I'm gone.